आई सदी नीसवी बरतू पाया सिक्खी नू कुछ लिया ते ईसाई दरों नू फैलाया गुरुद्वारियां नू दिता महंता नू गुर देश बुलाया कर्मकांड बुद्ध पूजा ने नंगा नाच नचाया साथ संग जी वाहिगुरू जी का खालसा वाहिगुरू जी की फतेह. Let me take you back on a journey through time. It is May 1894. You open a newspaper and you read. The Christian faith is making rapid progress, and soon these turban-clad sects will be seen only in pictures in the museums. Their own sons and grandsons turning Christian will go to see them in the museum and say, "Look, that is a picture of a Sikh, the tribe that inhabited this country once upon a time." This was a note which appeared in a Sikh newspaper, the Khalsa Bagh of Lahore, May 25th, 1894, from the pen of its editor, Gyani Dit Singh. He painted a realistic picture of the Sikhs' future if circumstances were to continue the way they were at that time. Circumstance number one, the British were establishing Christian missionaries to convert people to Christianity. Circumstance two, Gurdwaras were being run by Mahants or Hindu priests. 3. Maharaja Dalip Singh, the last Sikh sovereign, had accepted Christianity. 4. What really shook the Sikhs out of their slumber was when 4 Sikh students of the Amritsar Mission School had decided to renounce Sikhi and become Christians. All of these circumstances led to the formation of the Singh Sabha movement on July 30th, 1873. Its main purpose was to defend the Sikh faith against the onslaught of Christian missionaries and others. Let us take a look at the different people and organizations who introduced many hurdles as well as those who had a positive influence on the movement. Outsiders like Arya Samajis, Christian missionaries, and Mahants influenced the movement negatively. Unfortunately, the members of the Singh Sabha movement also started to disagree on many issues. The president, Baba Game Singh Bedi, considered Sikhs as a part of the Hindu community and also wanted a special treatment for being a descendant of Guru Nanak's family. Gurmukh Singh, on the other hand, has a progressive reformist and considered Sikhi a separate sovereign religion with equality for all. This led to a division of the Singh Sabha movement within Amritsar Diwan and the Lahore Diwan. This negatively affected the Sikhs' initiatives. As a result, the new unified group called the Chief Khalsa Diwan was created, and the membership was open to all Amritdhari Sikhs. Despite all the oppositions and hurdles, the Singh Sabha movement succeeded in many of its missions. In 1877, Punjabi was introduced in the Oriental College, and many Sikh schools were started. People were starting to come back to Sikhi. The Anand Marriage Act was passed, which recognized Sikh ceremony of marriage as legal. The Sikh Educational Conference was established and is still held annually. Idols were removed from the compound of the Darbar Sahib, and the Rat Merada, the common code of conduct for a Sikh, was finally prepared. Now, Sat Sangaji, let's do a health check on Sikhi today. Are we following our Guru's teachings to be true Sikhs? Is Sikhi safe today? The British rule is over in India, but we are still slaves of Western culture, whether we live in India or abroad. The Sikh children back home speak Hindi or English rather than Punjabi. They dress up in Western clothes and have given up the Guru's Bana along with the Bani. Even after Guru Gobind Singh Ji's declaration of the Guru Granth Sahib as the only Guru, we question and are introducing new Granths and human Gurus at the same level. If someone shows the courage to question it, he or she is reprimanded for it by the so-called leaders of Sikhs at Akal Takht. Media is playing a dominating role in influencing the people. It is being run by people who are not qualified to present an honest, fair picture of the argument. So what mistakes are we making as Sikhs, and how can we correct them? First of all, we need to have our own media so the right information can reach the right people. Also, we should encourage Sabbath Sarup Sikhs to appear on the media. Sikhi should stay not limited to Sangat and Bangat, but broad to society. We need to be more involved in the politics of the country we live in if we want our voices to be heard. We must also have educated Granthis who are able to communicate with the younger generation. Gurmat schools should be opened on a large scale in many neighborhoods to train our children in our Guru's teachings from the very beginning. Special scholarships and grants should be given to poor Sikh children so they can get a good education. We should start new movements to bring back all what the Sikhs that have left Sikhi, and we should accept them rather than reject them. Finally, even the Tata Jatadars should be accountable to the Khalsa Panth if they make a questionable decision. Sad Sangat Ji, in the end, I will say the solution to all these problems that existed before the Sikh Symposium movement as well as today is very simple. Chutney Ladna. If we can all connect with our true Guru directly, then we can get the answers to our problems from there. Sabjab Kajal Kotri Tanman De Suha. Gur Rakhe Se Nirmale Shabad Nivari Pa. Aao Ade Baniye Jine Gidron Sher Banaya Panchkar Baksh Ke Naam Nitin Jagaya. Aisli Puranhar Tu Bakshinhar Chani Lal Hai Vidata. Hai Kareebal Kamal Hai Kareebal Niwaz Sanu Baksh Lai Data. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Guru Pyare Sat Sangat Ji, Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. First, I would like to start with the term Renaissance, a term that represents the revival of ideals and appreciation of human creativity during 15th century Italy. Accordingly, Renaissance in French means to be born again. Likewise, the Sikh Saba movement was a renaissance, a revival of the ideals of Sikhism, shed from their stereotypes and mistaken followers, an appreciation and understanding for the true word of the Rabbani and the ideals the Sikh foundation was built upon. A dark cloud had fallen upon Sikhi as we were forgetting ultimately who we were. Truly, there is no other way to put it. Sikhism during the turn of the 19th century was facing an identity crisis. The Sikh Saba movement was able to remind people of Guru Nanak's path and ideology and keep this reminder and its spirit alive for generations to come. One can say the circumstances and the toil started when Maharaja Ranjit Singh passed away on June 27, 1839. The Sikh people found themselves without the guidance of a strong leader, as matters went into a state of chaos. People that were appointed to take care of the state, such as Sardar Karan Singh and now Nihal Singh, were murdered under conspiracies. Thus, following an age of perhaps not peace, but at least some form of stability internally, were conspiracies to hurt our people and much disarray. On 29th March 1849, the British declared merging of Punjab Raj into their empire against all treaties signed thus far. Thus, with internal matters slowly crumbling, this gave leeway for external authorities the opportunity to strike another blow at the already disbanded conditions. Maharaja Dalip Singh, son of Maharaja Ranjit Singh, converted into Christianity. What came next, in a way, should have been expected. How are we to resist outside forces from anyone or anything if we could not stand strong with our own ideals together? Missionaries, particularly from Christianity, were called upon to India to preach their faith, convincing many wavering Sikhs to adopt their new faith. In this case, in my opinion, the missionaries were not at fault. They were simply preaching their faith and doing what they were told to do. It was our responsibility to not succumb to their demands and stand strong. Yet people during this time did not even question themselves before forgetting their faith and surrendering cowardly to another. However, there was an adverse response to these preachers. Instead of spreading the true word of our faith as written in Shri Guru Granth Sahib, people began to call themselves as descendants of gurus, as they would preach in one corner and loot in another. People became distorted images of reality, like a broken or dirty mirror. They might have been Sikhs on the outside, yet they were truly disciples of Brahmins on the inside. People knew the holy days of Dussehra and Diwali before the 10 Gurus. Of course, one should know these things in order to be simply a culturally literate person, yet not with the condition that we begin to forget our own ideals, foundation, and history. Being a Sikh almost became a taboo subject, or something that was forced upon someone, not something that was inspirational.